Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't get sounds all right.
Yeah.
Morning.
Pretty trusting, maybe that's not.
How are you today?
The bird.
Good.
Good.
It's like a target.
Yeah.
There's a big, we saw this.
Yes, never park into the tree.
He said, park my own driveway, I park at the garage.
Yes.
Go. That's.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
All right. June 18th, 2025, Hamburg IDA Board of Directors meeting. We'll start with roll call. We'll do the pledge and then we will resume our public hearing from last week, just as kind of a little agenda here. Before the real agenda, the main agenda. We have Mary Ann Costello.
Here.
Cam Hall.
Here.
Bob Hutchison. Janet McGregor Clark.
Here.
Tom Moses.
Here.
Andrew Palmer.
Here.
Bob Reynolds.
Here.
And then we have Mary Doran with the IDA, Jennifer Strong, Jonathan Hallis, Randy Fenton, and Brian Becker as guests. And excused are Jamel Perkins and Lance Valentin. Could we please stand and start with the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, they have a motion to open the public hearing for Riley Boulevard LLC from June 11, 2025 at 7:33 a.m.
So moved.
Thank you, thank you. The session is open. Just from the IDA office perspective, we did not receive any additional written comments on the meeting. Were there any additional comments on Riley Boulevard LLC for the public hearing?
John, can I just say something real quick? So at the public hearing, Bob, we were talking about the drainage and all that, and sometimes my emotions get the best of me. And I was kind of going at Bob here, and it's my overall frustration with the, I'm in sales. I talk to contractors and developers every day, all day long. I get a sense of how very hard it is to stay in this state, this region. And that frustration boils over sometimes in the wrong direction. So if I offended Bob or anybody else, I apologize. It's just some of the regulations that this state has is pretty harsh. I wanted to publicly say that.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any additional comments? Okay, for the second time, additional comments on Riley Boulevard LLC. For the third and final call for public comments on Riley Boulevard LLC.
Motion to adjourn the meeting. Open
Second.
public meetings.
Close.
Close, adjourn, close it.
I'll second it.
You lawyers, you're.
Thank you. Riley Boulevard LLC public hearing is closed at 7:35 a.m. Motion to open the June 18th, 2025 Hamburg, New York IDA Board of Directors meeting at 7:35 a.m.
So.
Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Mary Ann. Okay, on to our regular meeting agenda. First, a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 14th, 2025.
So moved.
Thank you, Janet.
Second.
Thank you, Bob Hutchison. Can you hear okay back there, Mary? Just want to make sure with that air conditioner. Okay. Any questions or comments on the meeting minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Carried. Next item on our agenda is our financial report from May 31st, 2025.
Good morning, everybody. So our income for the month was $2,812.65. Most of it was all from interest. We had payroll expenses of $13,253.80. We had insurance policy expenses of $3,159.35. So our total expenses was $17,439.16 for the month of May. And our income, our net expenses over income was a negative $14,626.51. I just want to point out again that our rep was taken into account here. So we ended up with $863,864.94. We added in the $12,671 of assets for the rent. And then we minus the $4,224 from those assets. And so we ended up with a total liabilities and equity of $872,311.94. Motion to approve.
Thank you, Cam.
Second.
Thank you, Janet. On the question, all in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Carried. Okay, no correspondence, and then on to my report. Just highlighting, particularly for the IDA. Talking to our financial objectives of the agency for 2025. We're tracking well with our spend year to date. We really have no large variance to budget, plus or minus 5%. The revenue is not tracking as we would like to see. We had budgeted for about $25 million in projects. So like Andy had mentioned, the project flow is certainly lagging. The good news is the pipeline is still there. It's just getting these projects through the goal line, not only with the IDA, but all the other stages in the development process. So that's something concerning and something that we need to continue to push. On to project activity. Like I said, with some silver lining, there's a 10-acre industrial site. We've been working with the project on Jeffrey Boulevard. That did receive site plan approval at the planning meeting, so they're continuing to work with us and kind of with their all the components of the project to try to get that project into the ground. Riley Boulevard is on the agenda for today. In addition to that, I've been taking on some business kind of retention and expansion activities, just really meeting with area businesses, existing businesses, to just do check-ins, see if we can offer any support from the IDA or otherwise. So there are some activities out there. For instance, I'm not going to talk to the businesses particularly. One is adding a third shift, which is nice. Two businesses are on the verge of large scale equipment purchases, like 6-7 figure investments in equipment to expand and enhance operations. So that's positive. I'm doing, providing some guidance in terms of financing, providing some guidance in terms of town support with the building office and permitting for the, it's kind of like not really a planning process. It's more so, like new mechanical engineering, plumbing additions within the building. So it's more of a building permit type of job. And then also, this has come up before, but we're going to take another stab at it, is NFTA, like seeing if we can do something with, modifying the, in my mind, I think the lowest cost accommodation would be to somehow modify the South Park Route 16 bus line to get through Jeffrey Boulevard, and even get over to Route 5, because there's common themes that I will hear, and we've heard this one before. Last time we took it up with a state representative who's no longer in office. So, sometimes you just gotta keep plugging away and see if we could get some accommodation. But, without adding another bus route, I think you could modify that to, maybe even just a couple of times during the day to get that go. So, just trying to, since we got some bandwidth here with the project activity, new project activity being down, taking some time to check in with the businesses, whether they're on pilot, some are on pilot, some are off pilot. So, but they were supported at one point through the idea. The AutoZone on Jeffrey Boulevard 2, that is under contract. I think that is due to close on the 19th. My best understanding is that it is going to, like, an investor or investors that are purchasing that site, but I think it sounds like there's like imminent activity for lease. I'm unsure, it's undisclosed as to yet, but hopefully soon that building will be reactivated. It's become a little bit of a used tire dumping ground over there, unfortunately. So we'll get some activity and get that cleaned up. Some other highlights, advocacy and legislation. I'm gonna be, I was voted back into the South Chamber of Commerce Board. So I'll be serving on that again for, I think it's a 3-year term. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to trying to have, I'd like to reinvigorate the chamber in terms of like having a little bit more of a value proposition for the members, particularly in terms of business advocacy. And trying to be a little bit more cohesive among our members and you know, share some messages when they're having experiences that may be detrimental to their business. Maybe we can have a stronger voice to support them. That's kind of one of my goals. The other one would be to increase the financial performance of the chamber. It's been struggling a little bit. So, you know, to try to like boost board member engagement and financial activity in terms of sponsorships, event support, and the like of that. It's been more difficult. These businesses, you know, have less resources, less financial resources, but sometimes you just gotta beat the bushes a little harder. And then in between last month's meeting, there was a public information session for the stadium area. And a number of IDA board members attended, so thank you. Particularly, I know Bob Reynolds and Bob Hutchison had some engagement with WKBW. So we're trying to, they were interested in development activities around Hamburg, so we're trying to work with them to do a vignette. So we're kind of hopefully on deck and somewhere in the batting order there to do something to highlight what the IDA does and the businesses in Hamburg. Last, I did meet with a new representative from Benderson, a gentleman by the name of Matt Baldoff. He is a leasing representative, so he's kind of like the main point of contact, the gentleman who was for kind of like the retail, smaller retail leasing. One person who was a great gentleman to work with is kind of getting towards retirement, spending more time doing Benderson work in Florida. So Matt is kind of going to be our contact. There's a nice parcel, particularly in the village of Hamburg, that, you know, I was trying to work with him to get some leasing activity. I think I failed to mention we had a HDC, our loan fund had a loan payout. Busy Beaver, which was on Southwestern, it was Zittles. They have sold to a new landscaping company. Busy Beaver had a loan with HDC. So with the sale of the property, it satisfied the loan. So we have some financial resources, you know, for the HDC. So we're kind of even working with Benderson was like, you know, if you have potential lessees and they need some financial support to expand their operations, equipment, inventory, working capital, those are all qualified uses of HDC than the revolving loan fund. And then last, our next board meeting will be July 9th. And that's all I have to report. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one
comments?
comment.
Yes.
I want to thank, on behalf of the entire board, Sean, I want to thank you for the job that you're doing, especially the outreach to these businesses. That really shows that the IDA board isn't just here to take a fee from businesses to bring somebody here, but there's a true interest in keeping and developing businesses in Hamburg. And I really appreciate that as a board member.
Good. Thank you.
I agree. You don't have to be lobbying to move buzzwords and all that.
Yeah.
It's really,
Yeah, but
it's for the good of our
it's hard.
the
It's
businesses
for
of our
the
local community.
Yeah. Anything we can do, I mean, it goes for the businesses in the room too. Like if, you know, not that we're gonna get that bus route changed, but at least we can take a stab in it. So you never know. I will say some of the town board members I reached out because I know they have some connections with the NFTA and they like,
Yes, he does.
you know, it was probably 15 minutes later, my phone was ringing and, you know, they were connecting me with people who may be able to help. So the town has been responsive with that as well. So kudos to them.
I have an update to add to yours. We had a tour of the Ford plant, invited to on last Thursday. And I got a chance to sit down with the division stamping manager for Ford Motor Company out of Detroit, an old friend of mine, and plant manager and one of their manufacturing managers doing the tour. Talked about what we could do as the IDA. They're trying to bring the DIVE program back over there, so maybe looking for that too, but I did reach out to them. Tell them we need more. My big thing is, you know, if you give us some guaranteed labor, we can do some things for you. So that was good. I passed my card on and it's up in Detroit now. Hopefully it's Detroit, but still needs. It was a good tour. That plant has a lot of overcapacity available.
Yes,
A lot of space.
absolutely. And I would imagine, I just kind of monitoring the advertisements, but it seems like there's some competition where, they're talking about like, well, like investment in the United States, like, growth and production. I know Ford has a commercial particularly for that. So I don't know if that will promote some additional development, hopefully in Hampton. Right. There's some definitely opportunity there. Yes, Andy.
Pitch Hamburg, what's happening with that, just a little.
They are, I don't know, there's, we did have a meeting. We have like $250 in the bank. We're current, like all the filings, 990 is complete. What do I want to say? 990 and the charities filing for New York State. So legally, everything's in order. I'm going to pass on duties of the treasurer. I'm just not sure where it's going. So I'm passing on duties of the treasurer to another board member. My thought would be if we can kind of take components of that curriculum and bring it into the chain to provide business support. Because there's definite need for it. Like SCORE is a great program. The Buff State Small Business Development Center is a great program, but people don't want to go, and people want something, closer to them. Because a lot of times these people are, working full-time, starting out on this side hustle type business, and then need coaching. So it's like, how can they, they just don't have the time. So if there's something more close, so that would be my, like somehow just essentially take the components of that, put it in. I know they're starting you may have seen on social media, like Spot Coffee is having like a tech development, just kind of like a, get together and have coffee, like all, kind of business development on the tech side of things. So that's positive. And I think that's something that to monitor and that we would participate in like informally, just like going and saying hello from time to time. But yeah, nothing formal, but it's on the ropes, but it's still there. But the programming, I think, can be reintegrated. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, next on to new business. We have the Riley Boulevard LLC mixed use project. I will go through the resolution. If it is moved and seconded, then we can go on to question and further discussion if there's any additional questions on the proposed resolution. This is a resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency authorizing Riley Boulevard LLC for the construction of a mixed-use building of approximately 7,400 square feet of commercial space and 4,998 square feet of apartments located at 0 Riley Boulevard, Hamburg, New York, by the lessee as agent for the agency, for lease to the agency and lease back by the agency to the lessee, and to take other action. Whereas Riley Boulevard LLC, the lessee, has entered into negotiations with the officials of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, the agency, with respect to the construction of a mixed-use building of approximately 7,400 square feet of commercial space and 4,998 square feet of apartments at 0 Riley Boulevard, Hamburg, New York, by the lessee as agent for the agency for lease to the agency and lease back by the agency to the lessee, as also known as the project. Whereas the assistance contemplated by the agency will include mortgage tax abatement, sales tax exemption on any materials and or equipment purchased for incorporation into the project, and real property tax abatement in accordance with existing agency uniform tax exemption policy and guidelines. And whereas the lessee has submitted an eligibility questionnaire and other materials and information to the agency to initiate the accomplishment of the above. And whereas the agency has, after giving all required notices, held a public hearing on the project pursuant to section 859-A of General Municipal Law. And whereas the eligibility questionnaire set forth certain information with respect to the lessee, including the following: that the lessee desires agency assistance with respect to the project. If assistance is granted, the lessee anticipates hiring an additional 4 full-time employees at the project location within 2 years following the completion of the project. That the project will result in substantial capital investment, that there will be no adverse disruption of existing employment at facilities of a similar nature in the town of Hamburg. If agency assistance is disapproved, the lessee would have to scale back the project, negatively impacting future growth in New York, and that therefore agency assistance is necessary to encourage the lessee to proceed with the project in the town of Hamburg. And whereas the agency desires to further encourage the lessee with respect to the project, if by so doing it is able to induce the lessee to proceed with the project in the town of Hamburg. Now therefore, the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency hereby resolves as follows. The agency hereby determines that the construction, equipping, and installation of the project and the financing or other assistance thereof by the agency pursuant to New York State Industrial Development Agency Act will promote and is authorized and will be in furtherance of the policy of the state as set forth in said act. The agency hereby determines, on the basis of the eligibility questionnaire and supplemental information furnished by the lessee, as follows. It would not have financed or otherwise assisted the project except to induce the location of the project in the area to be served by the project, as there is a demonstrable need for the project. The agency financing or other assistance is reasonably necessary to promote economic development and to induce lessee to proceed with the project. There will be no substantial adverse disruption of existing employment or facilities of similar nature to the project in such area. The project will allow the lessee to expand its business in the town of Hamburg. The project will create additional employment and provide substantial capital investment. The agency further determines, on the basis of the lessee's eligibility questionnaire, that the project is as represented is reasonably necessary to provide the purposes of the act, subject to verification and confirmation of such representations prior to the lease with a mortgage or lease only transaction, and the project is an integral part of the lessee's plan to proceed with the project in the town of Hamburg. The lessee is authorized to initiate the project, I'm skipping around a little bit, at a total project cost of approximately $2.6 million, subject to the obtaining of all required approvals from the town of Hamburg and other involved governmental agencies, and to advance such funds as may be necessary to accomplish such purposes. The lessee is authorized to make purchase of goods and services related to the project that would otherwise be subject to New York State and local sales and use tax in an amount up to $1.3 million, which may result in New York State and local sales and use tax exemption benefits not to exceed $113,750. And the agency may consider any requests by the lessee for increases in the amount of sales and use tax benefits authorized by the agency upon being provided with appropriate documentation detailing the purchases of property or services necessary for completion of the project. The agency hereby authorizes and approves real property tax abatement structured through a 7-year pilot agreement estimated to provide $183,678.57 in real property tax abatement benefits, resulting in estimated total payments in lieu of taxes of $45,919.64 over the term of the pilot agreement. The agency hereby authorizes and approves the value of the mortgage to be placed on the facility of approximately $2.1 million, but that the mortgage tax exemption benefit shall not exceed $15,750. The pilot is estimated to provide $183,678.57 in real property tax abatement benefits, resulting in the payments again of $45,919.64 over the term of the pilot agreement. The execution and delivery of a mortgage from the agency and lessee to a lender selected by the lessee and approved by the chairman, vice chairman, executive director, secretary, or assistant secretary of approximately $2.1 million. The provisions of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency policy for recapture and or termination or modification of financial assistance and local labor policy shall be applicable to this project. This resolution shall take effect immediately and shall continue in full force and effect for 2 years from the date hereof. And on after such 2-year anniversary, the agency may, at its option, terminate the effectiveness of the resolution or allow the lessee additional time in which to close the transactions contemplated by this resolution based upon affirmative actions taken by the lessee to complete such transactions. Upon allowance of additional time to close, the agency may charge the lessee with an extension fee in accordance with the agency fee schedule.
So moved.
Thank you, Cam.
Second.
Thank you.
Did a lawyer
Andy?
write that?
Yeah, not Jennifer, the state. Okay, any, on the question? Yes, Mary Ann.
Yes, I brought this up at the hearing. I'm looking down the road and hoping that we can have an agreement that if there should be a transportation issue between this group and the school district, that they could work collaboratively to iron it out.
Okay, thank you. Do you guys wish to respond to that? I know we had some conversation just in regards to that.
Keep working, collaborative with all the surrounding areas, especially the school, because some of the classes from the school use the gym. So they are beneficial to us and we're beneficial to them. So we need to work with them for this project. So I see definitely there'll be a good relationship between us, the school, and the neighborhood across the road now also. I see there's a bus stop put up across the road for those people. So we have a sidewalk coming from our building out to that area so they can get across there and everything. So we're already starting to work with people there. So I don't see any issue for it.
Is there anything else that you would like to add since the public hearing at all?
We really appreciate everybody's work and getting this project to where it's at. I mean, that's a lot. It's on this board that put in a lot of time, a lot of thought, consideration, all the projects going on in Hamburg. Small project probably compared to a lot of stuff that goes on in this area, but for us, it's a really big project. And we really appreciate everybody's confidence, help, and support moving this forward. So yeah, we look forward to expanding the business and getting bigger and better in the village and the town of Hamburg. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your investment of time and effort.
Thank you.
No such thing as a small investment.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor on Riley Boulevard LLC?
Roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Okay, I can do a roll call vote. Mary Ann Costello,
Yes.
Cam Hall,
Yes.
Bob Hutchison,
Yes.
Janet McGregor-Plar,
Yes.
Tom Moses,
Yes.
Andy Palmer,
Yes.
Bob Reynolds.
Yes.
And that's it. Approved. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, next on the unfinished business. Thank you for waiting patiently here. I hope you're not sweating too much. In the hot seat.
Thank you.
You can cozy up to Tom here in front of the air conditioner if you like. VIP seating. Sub 3 LLC, resolution to increase sales tax exemption. This one isn't as long. So, but you'll still have to bear with me for a little. Resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency authorizing an increased sales tax abatement to Staub 3 LLC, the lessee, in regard to 2024 Staub 3 LLC project for the construct, install, and equip of an approximately 58,000 square foot advanced manufacturing facility at, do you have an address assigned yet?
It is, Three Stop Drive.
Three Stop Drive. Three Stop Drive. As represented in the thing here, zero on the resolution, 0 Grimsby Drive, Village of Hamburg as agent for the agency for lease to the agency and subsequent lease back to the lessee and further sublease to Staub Precision Machine Incorporated, the sublessee. Whereas Staub 3 LLC, the lessee, previously entered into negotiations with officials of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, the agency, with respect to the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipping of an approximately 58,000 square foot advanced manufacturing facility at 3 Staub Drive in the Village of Hamburg for lease to the agency and subsequent lease back to the lessee and further sublease to Staub Precision Machine Inc. The sublessee will be the sole tenant of the project, said project having closed in August 2024. And whereas the lessee and the sublessee have encountered additional and unexpected expenses related to the project and have asked for an additional sales tax abatement, and now therefore the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency hereby resolves as follows. The agency hereby determines that the continued construction, equipping, and installation of the project and the financing or other assistance thereof by the agency pursuant to the New York State Industrial Development Agency Act will promote and is authorized by and will be in furtherance of the policy of the state as set forth in said act. Section 5. The lessee and sublessee are authorized to make additional purchases of goods and services relating to the project that would otherwise be subject to New York State and local sales and use tax in amount up to $571,500, which may result in additional New York State and local sales and use tax exemption benefits not to exceed $50,006.25. Any expenses incurred by the agency with respect to the project and the financing thereof shall be paid by the lessee. This resolution shall take effect immediately and shall continue in full force and effect for 1 year from the date hereof. So move.
So move.
Second.
All right, Jeremy.
Andy and Bob Hutchison on the question. You want to speak? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, we hear what the additional.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as the project broke ground last year, for those familiar with the site, that site in particular, the entire name of the drains, that site. So within the first 2 weeks, we had to buy an additional $180,000 worth of fill material, Russo, or to prop up the foundation, the base on the northwest corner of the building and the site plan. In addition, last year, copper prices were at an all-time high within the last decade, so that increased the price of raw materials for Ferguson, our contractor for the electrical side of it. Those were the two primary increases in raw material project. There's some other smaller adds, various contractors, but those were the largest contributors.
Still anticipating a opening soon.
Yeah, so we got our CO at the end of last month. So thank you for patient assistance. We got our first 2 machines delivered last week by Brooks, so we have those in. We are still outfitting the interior for manufacturing, so we're finishing up the compressed air system, and then we still got to put our PIRO water system in there. but we plan on hopefully finishing those two machines within the next 2 months. And that's just the starting of a long list of, let's say, hard movements that have to occur, because we have to get a couple pieces of equipment running there to alleviate equipment that's currently in production on Lake Street, so we can move production over there and decommission those machines there, move them to the new building. So it's, you know, it's kind of a chess game. We're getting close.
Are you buying a lot of new equipment or are you?
Not at this point in time, because this was our
Okay.
largest.
I just wondered if you
investment
bought
we
new
ever made,
equipment over there.
just simply in the building, so
Yeah.
right now we're in decent position. You know, a lot of that is also contingent on what happens with tariffs and the economy, because our sister company, KH Industries, you know, potentially could be hurting in the next year or so. Tariffs. So we're being cautious, that's what we're doing.
Okay, no,
You
that's.
know, as per Mr. Pinker said, you know, if he would have never started this project this year. You know, if we're happy that we started it last year, it's just because there's a lot of uncertainty.
Right. Is there anything we can do to help you out to do this? Well, I'm just saying. I mean,
This certainly
you know,
helps, every penny helps.
Yeah, obviously.
I don't know, I'll circle back to him and we'll see, you know. It's really a lot of this. What happened, we need a real game plan. Having these temporary tariffs in place, you know, it really hurts. And we're reviewing pricing almost on a daily basis to see where we need to be. And institute incur a loss, you know, for example, we had 2 containers. That were delivered last month, and by the time they arrived, they cost us an additional $1,000, just sitting in tariffs and taxes. Jesus, right?
Do you think your last one is because we base everything on unemployment? Do you think your employment numbers are gonna start to go in the future if things keep going?
No, well, it depends if it turns downwards, then yes, that could, but you know, on the positive note, in the last 2 months of those. Telling Tom that we have 5 new hires, this last 6 months. We brought on with those 5 new hires, I think of it. About 100 people. Which is a lot of coaches we've done, right?
That's great.
On the folks, I saw, it seems like the hiring pool has gotten a little bigger, you're getting more responses to.
Yeah, we have,
Okay.
you know, we were very good production individuals, but we were able, although. Helpful, you know, IT, person in IT that started this week, new HR manager that we brought on board, so things are looking better than they have been. Had a number of positions open for years.
Great. Thank you.
Spam text.
All right, motion to, any other questions? You wanna rush through? Any other questions? Okay, motion to approve, roll
Oh,
call.
we already.
Did we approve it?
No.
No, we're on the question.
We have questions? No. Excuse me,
That's okay.
not enough call.
Roll
So we have
call.
legal counsel.
All right, you have your roll call this one? Let's go, okay.
She said yes.
Mary Ann Costello,
Yes.
Cam Hall,
Yes.
Bob Hutchison.
Yes.
Jana McGregor Plar,
Yes.
Tom Moses.
Yes.
Andy Palmer.
Yes.
Bob Reynolds.
Yes.
You're approved. Thank you,
Alright.
Jonathan.
Thank you, everyone, and yeah, we'll have to coordinate another building.
That'd be great.
Facility when we get more equipment into it, you know, to get more impressive. Thank you, everyone, for your help.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Have a good one.
Good luck. That gets you with Roddy across the street.
Okay, privilege of the floor. Okay. Executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn June 18th, 2025 HIDA meeting at 8:11.
Second.
Janet and Bob Reynolds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Here. All right. On to land. Mary Ann Costello. Cam Hall. Bob Hutchison. Jan McGregor Plar. Tom Moses. Andy Palmer.
Here.
Bob Reynolds.
Here.
Wentz and Jamel are out of town.
Reporting.
Yes. But I can fix that. Thank you.